think you know the Casio G-Shock? Thanks to its legendary toughness and timekeeping autonomy, it's no secret why the mighty G-Shock has earned its place on the wrists of weekend warriors, first responders, and militaries the world over. But there are levels to this stuff, and there's a little-known collection of top-shelf G-Shock watches made for folks who crave the very best for everything in life. Called MRG, this flagship line of G-Shock watches takes the most cutting-edge tech G-Shock has to offer and blends it with the highest levels of traditional Japanese craftsmanship. We're talking about hybrid titanium and Cobarian case construction with artisanal armor-like flourishes, all honed like the edges of a samurai sword. Every beloved reference in the G-Shock collection gets the coveted MRG treatment, from the original square case digital reference from 1983 to the beloved analog Frogman dive watch, all the way up to the newest fan favorite, the MRG B2100 with its octagonal bezel and its wild interlocking beams dial. Ready for a deep dive into the MRG collection from G-Shock? Discover the full range this holiday season at Topper Jewelers. And while supplies last, mention this ad to receive a special gift with your next G-Shock order.
The holidays are all about sharing with family. Meals, couches, stories, Grandma's secret pecan pie recipe. And now, you can also share a cart with Instacart's Family Carts. Everyone can add what they want to one group cart from wherever they are. So you don't have to go from room to find out who wants cranberry sauce, or who should get mini marshmallows for the yams, or collecting votes for sugar cookies versus shortbread. Just share a cart and then share the meals and the moments. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy free delivery on your first 3 orders. Service fees and terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
It's time. It's time. Time to get in the zone. Time to get in the zone with the 49ers Web Zone. This is the No Huddle Podcast with Al and Brian.
What's up, faithful? You're listening to another episode of the 49ers Web Zone No Huddle Podcast, a part of the Odyssey Network. I am Brian Renick, and my compadre, my brother in 49er podcasting, Al Sacco, is, as my favorite baseball broadcast team, Kruk and Kipe would say, is on assignment. So it is just me today. And we are going to preview the 49ers matchup this Sunday against the Green Bay Packers. But before we get to that, I think there's a couple things to discuss in 49er world. And I'll be perfectly honest, we talked a little bit about this on our last episode as we recapped that whatever kind of game you want to call it, that loss to the Seattle Seahawks. But one of the things that Al and I discussed specifically was Kyle Shanahan. And it certainly feels like this week there has been a good amount of chatter online in 49ers Twitter, but also just kind of in the I would say in the media universe about Kyle Shanahan's safety, if you will, as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. And there are, especially on social media, there are quite a few 49er fans who are calling for a change at the head coach position. And I am here to say that the seat that Kyle Shanahan currently holds as head coach of the 49ers at this point isn't even warm. I have seen some of the arguments, and I understand some people's frustration. And I think when you get used to a level of success that 49er fans have become used to in the Kyle Shanahan era since 2019, when you have a down year like they've had, it is a bit uncomfortable. And you start to kind of point fingers as a fan and just try and figure out, hey, what's the issue? Because on paper, this 49ers team is still one of, if not the best roster in the NFL. You might point somewhere else now with, the loss of Eric Armstead. And I mean, injuries notwithstanding, right? The 49ers have lost quite a few players to injury so far this season. But I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this is a top 5 roster in the NFL. And when you have a top 5 roster in the NFL, a 5-5 record is not what you expect. And we also live in a time, a social media universe in which there is very little room for nuance. There is very little room for just kind of taking a step back and saying, hey, things are not going the way that we would like, but that does not mean that someone needs to get fired, that Brock Purdy is no longer the future of this franchise, that John Lynch needs to move on, that Kyle Shanahan needs to move on, that people are so desperate to get their take out there, to be the first person to say something controversial, because 1, it gets clicks and views, and 2, for a lot of people, it is a basis for clout, right? Like, hey, look, I said, after 2021, Kyle Shanahan could be fired. Like, I've been saying it for years, right? Well, just because you've been saying it for a long time, or you felt that way for a long time, does not mean that your opinion is in fact valid. Because the reality is, in the NFL, you are judged on wins and losses. And there are very few coaches right now in the NFL who have done a better job in that area than Kyle Shanahan. And I know, especially older 49er fans, a lot of their argument is, we used to celebrate Super Bowls, right? 5 Super Bowls in the 80s and early 90s. And now we celebrate getting to the Super Bowl, or we celebrate NFC championships. And while I understand that frustration, I myself am 42. And so I was alive for all 5 of them. If we're being perfectly honest, I really only remember the last 2, maybe 3, but really the last 2. And mainly the last one, right? The last one against the Chargers, the one that Steve Young piloted that team. That 1994 team was incredible, with Deion Sanders and Ricky Watters and Jerry Rice and Steve Young, and it was just a all-time team, just an all-time team. And the thing that's crazy to think about was 1994 was 30 years ago. It has been 30 years since this team has won a Super Bowl. And that's not to make you mad, make you sad, make you whatever it is that makes you feel. But when people talk about we used to celebrate Super Bowls, and now I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that attitude. I don't buy into that idea that we cannot celebrate what Kyle Shanahan has done because he hasn't been able to bring that Super Bowl. One of the classic, I feel like, questions that and maybe this is more NFL fans than other sporting fans, but it's sports in general, right? Would you rather your team win a championship and then be non-competitive for X amount of years, or be competitive year in and year out, but either not win a championship or struggle to win a championship? And for me, I will always side on, I want my team to be competitive year in and year out, right? Like, winning a championship is great. The San Francisco Giants, a team that I have rooted for from the womb, just like the 49ers, arguably a bigger place in my heart than the 49ers, simply because baseball was my sport growing up. Played it all the way through high school until injuries derailed my athletic career. But the Giants won 3 championships in 5 years, 2010, 2012, and 2014. And it was the best of times. I loved it. It was incredible, right? But as they continue to fall further and further behind now in the 2020s, behind the Dodgers, behind other teams in Major League Baseball, I'm wildly disinterested in that team because I already know that they're not competing for the division, that maybe they'll compete for a wild card, berth or whatever the case may be. But I don't like entering every season going, maybe if all things break right, my team could be a wild card team, but they're not winning, right? Like, I want to go into every season going, no, this team has an opportunity, a path to winning a championship. And from 2019 on, this San Francisco 49ers team, every single season, you can bank on the fact that they are positioned to make a run at the Super Bowl. Now, injuries could derail that. 2020, a worldwide pandemic, right? But for the most part, for the last 5 years, as a fan, I've gone into every season hopeful that my team can make it to the Super Bowl and win it. That is so powerful to me. Like, I don't want to be a Panthers fan where I'm like, my team's not going to compete. Like, what am I vested in? What am I interested in? And so when we talk about firing Kyle Shanahan, I just think back to where this team was post Steve Mariucci, post Jim Harbaugh, right? Like, those were some dark days as 49er fans. And again, it does not mean that if they moved on from Kyle Shanahan, that they couldn't bring somebody else in that would also set this team up to compete year in and year out. But I think it's far less likely if you fire Kyle Shanahan. And here's the other thing. Somebody tweeted this the other day. They said that, if the 49ers fired Kyle Shanahan, there would be 20 teams who currently have head coaches that would fire their head coach for the opportunity just to interview Kyle Shanahan. I took it a step further. I quote tweeted and I said, there are teams that would ask their head coach to sit in on the interview with Kyle Shanahan just so that if Kyle Shanahan had questions about their roster, they'd be able to answer. And obviously that's hyperbole, but it is to say, I think there are maybe 10 teams in the NFL that would not fire their head coach to hire Kyle Shanahan a day after the 49ers let him go. Maybe 10. And I listed those out in a reply to somebody because somebody asked, who are the teams that would fire their coach to hire Kyle Shanahan? And I thought to myself, it's probably easier to list the teams that wouldn't fire their head coach than it would be to list the teams that would. And this is the list that I came up with. And I want you as a listener to think about who might be on this list that I didn't add or who you'd take off this list.
Today's podcast is sponsored by MIDI Health. At any given time, 61% of adult women say they want to lose weight. But for many, that's easier said than done. If you've had trouble losing weight, don't lose hope. MIDI Health uses a deep understanding of women's hormones and a combination of weight loss medications to create a customized plan for each user. MIDI Health can help you achieve more effective and sustainable weight loss by addressing hormone imbalances. MIDI can also prescribe proven weight loss medications that help you experience reduced appetite and increased feelings of fullness. When paired with hormone optimization, you're not just managing your weight, you're also supporting your body's natural processes, which means you can overcome those weight loss plateaus that in the past have been so difficult to move beyond. So if you're ready to combine the power of hormones with the power of weight loss medications, visit joinmidi.com today. Discover how this innovative approach can lead you to lasting success. That's joinmidi.com.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet and the not-so-secret secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whenever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout experience as business powerhouses like Alo, Allbirds, and Skims. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast.
When it comes to hiring, don't search for great talent, match with them. Thanks to Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find qualified candidates fast. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey, leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Just go to Indeed.com/listen right now. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility. Go to Indeed.com/listen and tell them you heard about them from this podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
I listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exactly 10. There were 10 teams that I thought, you know what? These 10 teams probably wouldn't fire their coach to hire Kyle Shanahan. The first being the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously. Andy Reid, Hall of Fame coach. They're working on a three-peat right now, which has never been done in the NFL. Obvious choice there. I don't think the Rams would fire Sean McVay to hire Kyle Shanahan. I think Sean McVay is an amazing coach. I think he's on the same level as Kyle Shanahan. The Rams are a perfect example of selling out to win a championship and then really kind of hamstringing yourselves after that. The Rams have been competitive, but I don't know that since they won the Super Bowl, anybody has really listed them as a Super Bowl contender. I don't think the Chargers would fire Jim Harbaugh. He's in the first year. They're doing incredible. They've got the best defense in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh is a hit wherever he goes for at least the first 3 years. We'll see how it goes in LA. I don't think the Steelers, rightfully so, would fire Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL. I don't think the Ravens would fire John Harbaugh. Again, a coach who has had a ton of success there, has won a Lombardi while there. So obviously has a little bit more cachet there than Kyle Shanahan, who hasn't won one in San Francisco yet. I don't know that Denver would fire Sean Payton. That might be more financial than anything, although Payton has this team playing really well with Bo Nix as a rookie, and I just don't think that would be a team. I don't know that Houston would fire DeMeco Ryans just because he's in year 2. They were wildly successful last year. He has a great relationship with his quarterback, CJ Stroud. He's a former player in Houston, which I think carries a lot of weight as well. I don't think Green Bay would fire Matt LaFleur because he's been wildly successful there, first with Aaron Rodgers and now with Jordan Love. I don't think Minnesota would fire I just lost his Kevin O'Connell. There it is. I don't think Minnesota would fire Kevin O'Connell just based on how things have gone this year, how well he's put an offense together with Sam Darnold. They've got a rookie quarterback there who will be ready to hit the ground running next year after he recovers from his injury. And then the last one, Detroit. I mean, Detroit is arguably the best team in the NFL right now. They've fully bought into Dan Campbell. I wouldn't see that. So 10 teams. So 22 teams would fire their head coach for the opportunity to hire Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is not going anywhere. His seat isn't even warm. And I genuinely believe the 49ers would be the laughing stock of the NFL if they fired Kyle Shanahan. So take a step back from the ledge, understand seasons like this happen. Is Kyle Shanahan having a good season? Absolutely not. Are the 49ers having a good season? Absolutely not. But here's the other thing. The 49ers have had 4 games come down to the last 2 possessions, and they're 1-3 in those games. The margin for error in the NFL is razor thin. And many games come down to the result of 1, 2, 3 plays at the most, right? Can flip an entire game from a game that you are destined to win to a game that you lose. And normally the 49ers have been able to ride that edge pretty well every season. And this season they're not. They're falling off, right? They're 1-3, right? If that record flipped, this team is 8-2, 7-3 at worst. Look at the team they're playing this Sunday. The Packers have had 7 games, 7 games come down to the final possession, and they are 6-1 in those games. The Packers, who are 7-3 right now, if you flip that record, they are 2-8. So again, is Kyle Shanahan having a good season? No. Are the 49ers having a good season? No. Would we still feel the way that we feel if they were 3-1 in those 4 games instead of 1-3? Probably not, right? And so that's where I'm saying let's take a step back. Let's focus on what it is that the 49ers can do to right this thing. And understand that this team is still wildly talented. Kyle Shanahan is still a really, really, really good head coach. Kyle Shanahan is still a really, really good play caller. There is room for improvement, obviously, on offense. And one of the things that I appreciate about being on 49ers Twitter is I follow people who are a lot more versed in the schematics of the NFL and film review and things like that. And I love being able to go to them and I can trust what they're saying is what they see. And one of those people is Kyle Posey of Niners Nation. And he did a deep dive early this week, on some film from the 49ers offense. And one of the things that we have consistently complained about is what feels like a lack of separation for these 49ers wide receivers. And what Kyle Posey found was that while we may feel that way, the film doesn't show that to be the case. In fact, there's still quite a bit of separation for a lot of wide receivers. The problem is, for whatever reason, Brock Purdy seems to have regressed a little bit in his ability to just rip it when he sees it. And I don't know if it is not trusting the line in front of him because his center is not good and his left guard hasn't been playing great. His right guard is phenomenal. Obviously, Trent Williams is great. Colton McKivitz is average at best, right? But it certainly seems like he's a little gun shy. And again, I don't know if that stems from his 4 interception game last Christmas, if he's still feeling the effects of that. But it seems like he is lacking a little bit of confidence. And if Kyle Shanahan can figure out a way to get him back to that kind of swagger that he had last season, this offense is going to explode. It's just going to explode. But until then, right? As the great Bill Parcells said, you are what your record says you are. And so while that means that this team is wildly mediocre because their record is 5-5, the talent is there. The players are there. The pedigree is there. The experience is there. The 49ers 100% have what it takes to go on a run to end this season to get into the playoffs. It's not an easy road. In fact, it's a pretty difficult one because it starts in Green Bay and then goes to Buffalo. And then it goes through Detroit, not in Detroit. Detroit is coming to San Francisco, but week 17, they have to play the Lions. One of the things that you have to hope as a 49ers fan is that the Lions have the 1 seed wrapped up by then so that they're not necessarily having to play for the win. Maybe they rest some guys. I don't know. Again, it's week 17. I don't think you don't want to rest guys too much because they're going to have a bye. I don't see any other team getting the number 1 seed. I guess Philadelphia is kind of knocking on the door, so there is that as well. But the road is there. The road is tough. But again, this is a veteran-laden team with a ton of experience in late season football. And they are getting George Kittle back this week. George Kittle has already said he will play. There are some concerns that we will hit on in a little bit here before we preview that game about some other players. But this 49ers team has the talent to go on a run, and it starts this Sunday in Green Bay.
At Alma, we know the connection between you and your therapist matters. But if you're already feeling stressed and burnt out, the idea of trying to find a therapist you really connect with can be overwhelming. That's why Alma's focused on helping you find the right therapist for you. When you browse their online directory, you can filter your search based on the qualities that are most important to you. Then you can book a free 15-minute consultation call with any therapist you're interested in seeing, so you can get a feel for whether they're the right fit before you commit to a full-length session. Alma also makes it easy for mental health care providers to navigate insurance. That's why 95% of therapists in their directory accept insurance for sessions. So you can find care that's affordable without stressing about the paperwork. You want to talk to someone, but not just anyone. Alma is there to help you find the right fit. Visit helloalma.com/therapy60 to schedule a free consultation today. That's helloalma.com/therapy60.
As we gather with loved ones this holiday season, consider how learning a new language can enhance your connections and enrich your experiences. What are your goals for the upcoming holiday season? Whether it's traveling internationally or connecting with family and friends, a new language can open doors to meaningful conversations and cultural appreciation. With that in mind, there's no better tool than Rosetta Stone, the most trusted language learning program. Available on desktop and mobile, Rosetta Stone immerses you in the language, so you truly learn to think, speak, and understand it naturally. With Rosetta Stone's intuitive approach, there are no English translations. You're fully immersed. And the built-in True Accent feature acts like a personal accent coach, giving you real-time feedback to make sure you sound just right. Don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. For a short time, listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership holiday special. This offer will not last long. Visit rosettastone.com/rs10. That's unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your holiday offer at rosettastone.com/rs10 today for yourself or as a gift that keeps giving.
All right, so let's preview this game. This game against the Green Bay Packers. The Packers come into this game 7-3. As I stated earlier, they have had 7 games come down to the final possession, and they are 6-1 in those games. Jordan Love has played injured most of the season. He looked like his injury wasn't necessarily affecting him as much last game, so it looks like he's getting healthier. Josh Jacobs is 3rd in the NFL in rushing. It's a team that is going to pose some problems for this 49ers team. But again, it does not mean that the 49ers don't have any chance in this game. They absolutely do. The question is Nick Bosa going to play? As of today, Thursday, November 21st, it is 4 p.m. Pacific time. Bosa has yet to practice. The question is, will Trent Williams play? Trent Williams has yet to practice. We've also seen in the past that both of those players have gone a week of no practice and still played on Sunday. And so I believe both of them will be a game time decision. The bigger concern is that today at practice, Brock Purdy left early after an assistant trainer was looking at his shoulder. Purdy popped up on the injury report after that Seattle game with a right shoulder injury. No specifics. He didn't throw Monday. I'm sorry. He didn't throw Tuesday. He didn't throw Wednesday. He didn't really throw today. That's a giant concern. If Brock Purdy cannot go against the Packers, I mean, I don't feel like there's a whole lot to talk about. I don't know that Josh Dobbs or Kyle Allen could lead this offense, even with Christian McCaffrey, even with George Kittle, even with Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings. So obviously those are things to look at. But in order to preview the game, we're going to assume Brock Purdy's going to play. We're going to assume, or we've been told George Kittle will play. Christian McCaffrey, I believe, will also play. Here's what I want to see from the 49ers offense against this Packers defense. Kyle Shanahan has got to get Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerendo more involved. He cannot continue to let Christian McCaffrey carry this running attack. He's not 100% yet. He's just not. He's getting there. And you can see in a handful of plays, you can see some of that burst that he's starting to get back, but he's not there yet. Right? With 3 minutes remaining in the game, as the 49ers are trying to ice the game before they end up losing against the Seahawks, Christian McCaffrey had 2 carries. The first one went for 1 yard. The second one went for -1 yard. On the previous drive, which was a touchdown drive for the 49ers, he carried the ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times on that drive. Those carries went for 3, 1, 7, 1, 8, 1, and 5 yards. So in the final 2 drives, Christian McCaffrey had 6 carries go for 3 or fewer yards. That's not going to cut it. Keep him involved, but involve him more in the passing game. Get Jordan Mason in there. Get Isaac Guerendo in there. Let the younger guys, especially Jordan Mason, carry the bulk of that load, especially late in the game. Because the advantage that Mason has is that very few people want to tackle that guy. He runs hard. People make business decisions when he's coming at them, especially late in the game. So that's one key for me. Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerendo have to touch the ball in the running game more than they have. I would like to see Jordan Mason get 5 to 7 carries, and I would like to see Isaac Guerendo get 1 to 3 carries. Right? That means that Christian McCaffrey is looking at, 15 to 17 carries. I think that's plenty, especially if you involve him in the passing game. Right? Stop game planning like Christian McCaffrey is 100%. I also would love to see Kyle Shanahan start to move away from some Deebo Samuel heavy game plans, because we know that they're ineffective now. Many defenses are starting to just play man-to-man defense, especially in the second half against this 49ers offense, knowing that their receivers are having trouble separating against man coverage. Deebo Samuel being the biggest culprit of it. So if you go in with a Deebo heavy game plan and they switch to man, you are really handcuffing yourself. And I would love to see no more of those sweeps in the backfield. If you put Deebo Samuel in the backfield, teams know you're giving it to him. Like, that's the other thing. You're not even disguising it, right? It's not like he's in the backfield 5 to 10 times a game and he's carrying it half the time and going out on routes the other half, right? It's not even unpredictable. So if we're not going to be unpredictable, then we got to know that it's ineffective. So I'd like to see less of that as well. I'd love to see some more screens with Christian McCaffrey, with Isaac Guerrero, with Deebo Samuel, with possibly Jacob Cowing, although Cowing was on a side field today, which means he's probably still in the concussion protocol. And then I would love to see Brock Purdy rip it down the field more. I think he's been hesitant, but I think there are plays there to be had. And I think if Shanahan can convince him to let it rip again, I think that this 49ers team can score on this Packers defense. The Packers defense has been playing well, but this is a talented 49ers offense. On the flip side, this Packers offense scares me a bit against this 49ers defense, especially not knowing whether Nick Bosa is going to play or not. Josh Jacobs is third in the NFL in rushing. I think this Packers team is going to come into this game saying we are going to run the ball down your throats, which means that Jordan Elliott and Evan Anderson and Malik Collins and Khalil Davis and Kalia Davis and everybody on the interior has got to be ready to bring their lunchbox and put in work, because this team is going to try and run it a lot, and they have got to be prepared for that. I think Evan Anderson will possibly play a big role in run defense, but I'm really concerned if Nick Bosa doesn't play that the 49ers don't really have the edge defenders to really defend the run. Nick Bosa is one of the better run defenders at the defensive end position in the NFL. It's one of the underrated aspects of his game. Everybody focuses on the pressures and the sacks, but he's a really good run defender. He gets beat sometimes, and he's missed some tackles this season, but he's good. So if he's not going to be out there, you're relying on the likes of Yetur Gross-Matos, Leonard Floyd, who doesn't really defend the run very much, Sam Okawanu. There's just not a lot behind Nick Bosa. So if Bosa doesn't play, it's going to be tough for this defense to do much stopping of this Packers offense. So it's really hard to even think about, what to expect from this game. Charvarius Ward has been back at practice, so it seems like he will be ready to play after being on extended bereavement. Again, condolences to the Ward family. Thoughts to Charvarius and his wife. I can't imagine having to deal with that and then go back to work, let alone go play, a game. But it seems like he will be active, which means that the 49ers secondary will be whole again. The Packers passing offense hasn't been great this year. Jordan Love hasn't been great. And so I think you're going to see at least one interception of Jordan Love, possibly more. We'll see. But it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to really even predict this game, not knowing whether Trent Williams or Nick Bosa will play. Those two players really affect the outcome of this game significantly. And so it's something to monitor. But I will say this. I'll go into it saying Bosa will play, Williams will play, Kittle will play. Don't know about Cowing, right? But for the most part, the offense is going to be whole. We'll say the defense is going to be whole. And so I think that this game, neither team is going to blow the other team out, right? Again, this Packers team has played 7 games that have come down to the final possession, which is 70% of the games they played so far. The 49ers have played 4 games that came down to the final possession or final 2 possessions. This game is going to be close. It's going to be close the whole time. It's going to be stressful. Like I said, I do believe that the 49ers have the talent. I think they are a more talented team than the Packers. The Packers are a young team with ascending talent, but the 49ers are a veteran-laden team with a lot of top-heavy talent. And I have to think after that Seattle game, you got to hope that was rock bottom, right? You got to hope that as a team, as a coaching staff, this week was a lot of, we cannot let this happen again. This is on us. You know, that team believes in itself. Everybody in that locker room believes that they have what they need in the locker room, not only to be successful, but to win a Super Bowl. They genuinely believe that. And so my hope is that that genuine belief turns into product on the field this Sunday. And so, like I said, they have the ability to go on a run. They have a tough schedule coming up. They're 5-5 now. They have to look at 10-7 as the goal to win the division. Whether or not that wins the division, no idea. I have no idea what to expect from the Cardinals, who are 6-4 right now. But if you're going 10-7, that means that in your remaining 7 games, you're going 5-2 against teams like the Packers, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Rams. I'm missing one. Can't remember who else. But you look at Green Bay, Buffalo, and the Lions. Those are the 3 best teams you have remaining on your schedule. You got to beat one of those teams. You have to. You have to beat one of those teams. And to me, this is the weekend. This is the team to beat. And I think if you beat this team, then you even have more momentum going into a difficult game against the Bills. And also, if you beat this team, it may even help you by helping the Lions, right? Because, again, the Packers are nipping at the Lions' heels for the NFC North crown. If the 49ers can hang an L on them, that puts the Lions in a better position. So, again, when the Lions come in week 17, maybe they're not playing for anything. That's helpful to you, right? But regardless of what happens in the future or anything, this is a week-to-week league. This team has to be focused, and it starts this Sunday at Lambeau. And so my prediction for this game is that the 49ers dig deep and they find a way to pull it out. And the 49ers win this game 24-20. Al and I will be back to analyze the game and take a look at the storylines that come from it. But until then, for Al, I'm Brian. Please rate, review, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, do all that good stuff. We will talk to you guys soon, hopefully, after another 49er victory. Later.
9-0-3. 1, 2, 3.
.2400 Sports is an Odyssey company.
What's better than watching your team win? Winning money while you do it. I'm Jim Costa, and on Cash the Ticket, Mike Valenti and I give you the edge to make every game playable. College football, NFL, we're breaking it all down game by game. Your podcast feed is going to be filled, and you're going to love it. You can click on the games you care about. We do it all. With our analysis, we're finding games that other people aren't talking about. We're turning every Saturday and every Sunday into days where you got a chance to win. Don't just sit on the sidelines. Cash the Ticket with us. Follow Cash the Ticket in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.